into the site. Taps on taps, and it will be Dylan to take the first frag. Lazza and ZNX trying right back for Endpoint. They do take their control. 2 versus 4 immediately for the T side.
Archer and Casa stuck behind a smoke. A kit available, and as well as a smoke available for this retake, should they decide to go for it. Of course, a lot on the line in terms of getting an early stride forward, but Endpoint, such a dominant position to be in. The Pulse will hold off those rotations. That after-time position so strong for them. The first is there, Archer, the immediate trade, but it's back in Endpoint's favor. 3 players stay alive, and they will take the pistol fairly handily.
Yeah, very nicely done there for the Endpoint side. You know, quick execution is the name of the game right there on the A-bomb side. If you're going to go for an execute, you charge right in, you check all the angles, you make sure that you're quick about it as well. And that's exactly what Endpoint did. They rushed in, they got every frag, they got every kill. They managed to just overwhelm London Lynx to the point where the retake was off before it had even gotten set up. So, over to the force buy of the London Lynx side. We talked a little bit today about the options that you have in the force buy versus eco scenario. And we've seen a little bit of a mix of both over the course of the day. London Lynx going to go back in with the utility sets alongside those deagles. Those deagles can be deadly, is the most important thing for the CT forces. So play those off angles, play those weird long range positions, try not those headshots, it could go well.
And Dexy's a very explosive player as well. I've seen him pull off multiple clips alongside the Scout and AWP. Bit inconsistent is really his main issue, and sometimes in crunch time he does lose out in certain positions, getting over aggressive, often picked off. At least that becomes a factor that plays on London Lynx moving forward. Dylan looking for a bit of information there. Laney already posted on the angle. Endpoint, we're just waiting for some sort of aggressive play from the London Lynx side. Dexy will land a tag, but ultimately taken down. They're still moving in towards the remaining players here on London Lynx. Potential to do a bit of damage here as Velox does take down Lazza, but no further damage is done to the Endpoint side.
Yeah, a little bit wearing down on the economy state of Endpoint, but they keep most of their rifles in play, which is really the key moment and the key thing to focus on for the Endpoint guys. AK's coming back out as well. They'll keep those Mat 10s on Mighty Max and Pulse because, you know, obviously the eco round will come through for London Lynx. It is a forced buy. They lost it. Means they haven't got enough money to reinvest in this one, so they'll just go back in with mostly pistols. I mean, mostly just default pistols here. 2 USPs, a couple of upgrades to the CZs, the P250, the Deagle. A couple of pieces of flashbangs as well to go towards that mid position. But London Lynx, other than that, no Kevlar, no other utility. Lane does go down to the first casualty for the T side. They will be able to adjust in the mid position. I know 1 versus 3, but still 2 players down. The Mat 10 also from Dylan sprays on towards Laney's position and takes the 2K of his own right. $600 in the bank for him. And also damage being done to the Endpoint squad.
And Dylan's making the correct rotation here. Endpoint's moving towards this B-bomb site, and Dylan's on a collision course. SMG in hand, if he deals with Mighty Max, this could be devastating. But he doesn't expect that angle. He doesn't expect them to rotate through the apartments. Instead, had full mid-control at their disposal, they could have more than likely made their way up short, but not anticipating that particular angle. It's going to be Endpoint dealing with the situation. It does get a little bit scary, especially with that remaining teammate alongside Mighty Max being tagged down to such low HP. Could have seen the SMG being devastating, but now into the full gun round. The AWP is out for Dexy. Augs will be on the field as well for London Lynx and Endpoint. They've been taking aggressive control pretty early into these rounds, but now recognizing that because these weapons are now out for that CT side, they don't want to contest it until these smokes and the early utilities dealt with. Still
just try and bait out the defaults for the moment here for the Endpoint squad. Very passive alongside the T side, and they know that London Lynx have the rifles to work with here. They know that they're also the favourites at the same time, but that doesn't stop the fact that London Lynx could do some damage. They've got some very capable players. Let's go take a look at Buzzkill as well, how well they held in their matchup earlier against the London Esports side. So, you know, Endpoint don't want to repeat that. They do not want to concede that many to the CT forces. Awkward smokes coming through, actually, probably getting a little bit too confident or a little bit too careful, and they're forcing mistakes out of their own right because of it here.
Still slow progress. Endpoint playing behind that smoke. The first one missed, but they're going to spring at the first opportunity that they're given. Velox, if he stands strong, if he's able to get that first kill, allowed for that player in towards CT to make that rotation, try some reinforcements, he gets a double kill. That's crucial. Pulse, now a lot to do as well, coming out of Palace, has to deal with that player in towards the spawn. Archer from range with the AUG is able to take down Lazza. Dylan takes Laney out as well, and Dexy, they've all made the right rotations there on the side of London Lynx. They've identified that the connector play is there for Endpoint, and that's a great shutdown there from the Lynx side.
You know, very big right there, you know. Again, all the rotations in at the right places at the right time. Double kill to start things off for the Lynx squad, and You know, while trades initially started looking good for Endpoint, you know, they came in at the right angles at the right time, isolating those 1v1s, and London Lynx just couldn't get control of the round back. So first on the board for the CT side, Endpoint falling to pieces a little bit in that one. So Mac 10 will be here on Mighty Max for the moment, which actually is still pretty deadly because I've got two players with lacking in the head Kevlar department. AK is also to do with the rest of Galil from Laney, probably is the weakest weapon, arguably. Endpoint plays super passively again, you know. We saw how confident they took with the executions they took towards the defaults in the rounds where they didn't really have to worry about the rifles. Now that they do, they've played it a little bit more passively, and I think they're suffering a little bit.
Yeah, a bit of a change of pace, despite the fact that they had a bit of momentum under their belt. London Lynx, though, still able to forward up pretty much everything they could have wanted in this round. Still the AWP presence, but Velox, he gets aggressive. He was successful by playing passive, but that's a good response from Archer. Getting that one kill, immediately falling back towards the Sanctuary site. Dylan spotting out that player that's lurking in towards the A site. ZeniX might have just identified a gap. Oh, especially with this player rotating away towards CT. This kill for ZeniX is crucial. There it is, Casa. He's able to split into either of these sites, and so both of these remaining London Lynx players have to be able to anchor things down by themselves. And Archer dispatched them. Dexy identified. They could potentially wrap back over towards B, but Dexy's brought it back.
1v2, Luzza's right around that corner. He's trying to prompt that peek from ZeniX, but he gave haste, so he shows a little bit of contention. Oh, Luzza sees the gun barrel though, and he knows what to do. Don't even peek it. Do not give him the chance and wait for him to round that corner and force the issue. If you're going for that wall bang, you know, it's a pretty common spot to go towards the danger position, especially when you have that short control on the Endpoint side. He possibly could have denied that bomb part and got it to a 1 versus 1. Unfortunately, it seems like Dexy didn't take the initiative in that case. So the end result, obviously, is what you see right there. 1 mal by round for the Endpoint board versus the only one that London Lynx have been able to get so far. And instantly, the economy is pushed back to basics. Eco round for the CT side. Dexy trying to get aggressive, will challenge Pulse, but Pulse immediately deals with him and leaves it to Luzza. Try and gain the app control, or power switch control, I should say, actually. 5-on-4 already, again, Endpoint expecting to take this round, and I think there's no one else that will contest that.
Yeah, and I think what's at least a small silver lining for the London Lynx side is that even in these rounds that they're losing, they're keeping the Endpoint economy fairly modest. You look at how much they've been able to accumulate despite the lead, it's not that significant. 2K really at a maximum. Casa even finds Pulse towards the apartments. At least there's a trade available here for Endpoint, but as more damage is done, ZeniX is potentially isolated. Velox, if he'd found an additional kill, that could have been, or could have played an additional role in following rounds. But London Lynx, only the one player found. It's Endpoint now looking to buy it once more, and I imagine they'll keep Laney once again on this SMG. It doesn't seem like Endpoint are shy from keeping sort of inferior weaponry going into these gun rounds, because they know that one of the compromises you have to make on the CT side is, do you want to afford up more utility, or do you skip out on head armor?
We'll go for, well, in a couple of places, the utility, other places the head armor. Certainly, you know, it would make a bit more sense with the head armor with Laney being in the server, but he's 1 out of 5 players. The other one's being able to do one-shot headshot damage, so Endpoint certainly in the driver's seat for this one. Scoreline, again, map control favoring them, and they're going for the execute here towards the A bomb site. All 4 players stacked up. Laney also in the mid position. They'll spot 1 man towards CT, but so far not much else coming in the favor of London Lynx or Endpoint as they are stuck in stalemate. Then can't quite get access to the A bomb site. Trying to sneak on Velox, the spray will come through from him. He takes that Mighty Max, can't see ZeniX. The smoke will keep him covered, and meanwhile, Dylan's going to burn to Luzza's Molotov, a 3v3.
Oh no, going down to the flames, that's potentially a huge mistake here. London Lynx could have had the man advantage, but now Endpoint should be able to shut out a number of these angles. They still have the AWP in play on Luzza. But from afar, that Molotov does so much. It flushes him out into the open, but he's still taking these fights, and he's done significant damage. Archer eventually deals with him. And now Pulse, the crucial player, it's 1-for-1 exchanges. Luzza holds all the cards. It comes down to the AWPers in the one-on-one. Jiggle peaks galore here for Luzza, as he's not sure whether Dexy will stick it.
He won't. Not going to stick it at all. Missed shot on the flick, but the flashbang was still blind off Dexy. Not taking the defuse. Has no choice but to concede. Luzza, well played from his part, you know. He managed to hold down his own control. He stayed very, very loyal to the idea that, okay, we've got this defuse, we've got this bomb plant, they're not going to go and stick this one. They haven't got any spokes. We've baited a lot of the utility. It's fine. I've got flashbangs. I can blind him. I can make sure he doesn't get his chance at the defuse. And that's exactly what he did. You know, didn't peek when the initial face came through. I mean, certainly he could have stuck that 5-second defuse and may have been able to find it as well if Luzza didn't take that face. But in the end, Missed shots don't matter for Endpoint. They get 6 on the board. London Lynx are struggling in the early part of this match.
And expect some sort of an adaptation here from that CT side, whether they sort of diverge from this 2-1-2 setup that they've been using quite frequently, getting either a player in towards under Balk or in towards Palace into the early round, instead going for maybe a bit more of an aggressive setup, going for top mid control, maybe committing 3 players in the early round so that Endpoint, should they throw that top mid smoke, at least London Lynx had that information to work with. They could stack a site appropriately or even push all the way through for some sort of flank potential. It's still going to be the slow approach here from Endpoint. They don't want to allow that CT side any space to work with. No initiative being taken by any of these players yet either.
And 55 seconds remain. Endpoint boost up from Laney, and Dylan might not be able to read this. Depends on how far Rowling wants to extend. Sees it and everything. Like, the AK is trained on towards the scaffolding, so if he knows that he's there, then decent chance he could potentially take that frag. In the end, Laney will peek and take him out. Smokes towards Max, comes through, and Velox over in dark. Could not get Mighty Max. Dexy's fragging with the AWP. 2 kills to his name as Archer, meanwhile, goes falling. Laney in a mid possession. 3 versus 2 scenario. Has tagged Laney to down, so it does down at 8 points of health. So there's a chance for Dexy. Will he go for the wall bang this time? No, he won't. Lazar again going to get away with the bomb plant, and Dexy misses. Second shot also not going to land. The Molotovs, the nades in. Lazar going to jump up, spots the man, but can't quite get a flick. Second phase won't work out for him as Kata will rotate around the other side. 2 versus 2 now. A HP advantage for London Lynx, but not for long as Mighty Max and Laney combine, peaking in the perfect time. Triple kill for Laney and 7 on the board for Endpoint. Another dominating start from the favourites.
7 1s. How many times have we seen that particular scoreline so far today?
I think it's been like 4, all 4 maps.
I think
like
so.
Something about this Brazilian scoreline for some reason. I don't know why. Like, it seems to be cropping up a lot today.
Yeah, huge swing of rounds in the early stages for the favorites. And fairly uncontested. Xenex is making short work of these pistols. Eventually he's dealt with, but Laza's there for the trade. He's going to have to give up the weapon, however. Dexy may be able to chase that down, recover that AK. Laza is not going to contest too heavily as he gives up an AWP to the likes of Dexy, who have been hitting shots with these scope rifles. That could be a potential way in for London to do some additional damage, but it will not just be Dexy. AK in hand, running. But wait a second, they've lost track of him. He'd held at Tetris and Pulse, thought he'd fully retreated. It's an 8 on the board here for Endpoint. They're beginning to accumulate a bit too much cash. London Lynx are going to have to win consecutive rounds here on that CT side to even have a chance at an eco or sort of half-buy situation from that T side.
Yeah, London Lynx. I mean, it was going to be a difficult challenge up here in this matchup, but right now it seems to be a bit too much to handle. Endpoint, 8-1, economy built, as you're saying. CT's trying to get aggressive towards the mid position. I think the one thing they haven't tried so far in this map, and not seeing anyone from Endpoint extending so far. They're just going to chill back and wait. Hold passive. Archer takes Xenex. That's 1 good kill, and a flashbang over the T's. Try and dismantle the mid control. Archer does come up with a second on Mighty Max. Dylan does falling in trade. London Lynx, they have a man advantage. I think for the first time in a very long time, they've had a man advantage, in this case, Yumi.
And that's the adaptation I was talking about. They need to go for some sort of aggressive stance to take the fight to Endpoint, as they've allowed them to get mid control for pretty much nothing. They've not been investing or taking those fights in middle, and not too confident in doing so. Now, as a result of going for a different setup, they find the advantage, but it's stripped away. Endpoint have equalized the affair, and they've lost all sense of control in towards mid. That opens up a huge possibility for this B-side split, but Dexy, he's read into it. He holds the short angle, and Casa has dropped the bomb.
Big frag for London Lynx. Pulse in a 1-on-3. AK in his hands, can get a headshot on the third blood player, but Dexter's got the York back over the market, and he's ready to lock it down. Easy flick, easy kill. An easy enough second for the London Lynx side, but the question is, will the next round come just as easy? We've seen several times over the course of the Grosvenor circuit, teams get a decent start, get a really confident round, and then immediately in the next round, it starts to look confident from the other side again. So, London Lynx is finding that one breaking point. We've seen it twice in this series already.
Yeah.
It's both rounds that London Lynx have won so far.
We'll have to see if a similar setup comes from London Lynx in the coming rounds, as Endpoint, I imagine, will be a bit more strenuous and a bit more meticulous about how they take middle. May use a couple more flashbangs just to make sure that if there is another aggressive play there from that CT side, the fights are that much easier to win. Laza will take the opening duel in towards CT spawn. No, respectively, but at range, Pulse does so much damage there with the CZ, trying to deploy the Molotov to finish off that kill, but Velox with the AWP eliminates him. ZNX and Laza left to scramble this round back together, but they don't have the bomb at their disposal. ZNX, he has no idea!
What?
He gets the kill to Dylan regardless.
What was that? I have no words. ZNX finally dealt with by Velox, and Laza also going, what was that madness in Sandwich? I have no words for that. Like, oh my goodness.
There's so many questions.
Exactly.
ZNX, it's maybe another 4-3 moment?
It might have been a 4. I mean, it was in the bottom left-hand
yeah.
corner of our screen, and we're on 16-9, so, you know, like, I'm imagining that, yeah, it was a 4x3 moment for the London Lynx player.
But then why don't London Lynx also know that they have connector control? Because I'm pretty sure ZNX made steps in that. There's a few things that weren't quite right about that, but
yeah.
Regardless, it's another round on the board here for London Lynx, and Endpoint now on pistols.
Yeah, big round again for London Lynx, able to really put Endpoint on track to lose a little bit of ground. Still got the half victory, but London Lynx now with a double AWP setup. And they'll all get the first man out towards ramp. Pulse is here, they know it. Incendiary will force him out in the open. We'll try and get the sandwich and actually spot Dylan at first fire. I think down to 2 points of health, but he stays alive with another kill. And Archer will be able to back him up eventually. The T side do crumble, and Laza last man left. Deagle, excuse me, in the hands. So triple kill for the AWP of Archer, 3 players stay alive. Both the AWPs in particular stay alive for London Lynx.
And both the AWPs having significant impact so
Exactly,
far. I mean, it was its debut in the previous round, but now they've got a third AWP. Velox has bought up as well, which is a bit of a question. I think having a double AWP setup certainly has its merits. A triple AWP setup, though, you leave yourself very susceptible if one of you misses a shot. Suddenly you're practically useless on a faster play like this, and Endpoint are just going to stampede towards A. Although they lose that initial player to the Flames, back-to-back trades here for Endpoint. They take site control, and they should be able to get this bomb planted momentarily. Dexy will at least deny the cross, and Apartments is fully covered by these scope weapons, but Laza on the back lines has completely trumped Velox's position.
On short, he could have been a key part of this retake, but Dexy would have to be the main man. Striking back to 2 versus 2. Now Laza on short, so the next close to the bomb site will get down one. A good leg shot. AWP kill couldn't be landed as Laza shoulder baiting. Dexy didn't see him, didn't react in time, and Laza had all the room to work with. 9 on the board for Endpoint. And he was the clinical part of that retake that really just shut it all down for London Lynx. And if they had the 2-pronged attack coming in from short and the market area, then that would have led to a probably would have led to a convergence that ended the 2 Endpoint players that were there. And the fact that Laza got into connector, found that one player, took the headshot easy as, didn't reveal his position at all to the London Lynx side. And that retake could have gone so much better for them, but one linchpin player is all that turned it about.
I mean, they completely denied the post-plant position in Apartments as well. It meant that every Endpoint player had to be on the site, so dealing with that player on short was definitely pivotal. Of course, it will be a player on short that opens up this round here for London Lynx. Endpoint down 1 man already. Dexy with the AWP. He has been traditionally set up over towards A. He's been moving around the map as well, being dynamic with that AWP, and he's found another pick for himself. Endpoint have to work at a 2-man disadvantage. Laza tagged down to significantly low HP. They should be able to get themselves on towards this side, maybe get the bomb planted, but there they go, chiming back and bringing the advantage ever closer. Now the after plan, now the time against them. Velox got with a nade out. Mighty Max caught in a reload. Some awkward timings for both of these teams, but now a 2 versus 2 in the affair.
There's a chance still available for London Lynx to go for this retake. Players getting caught off guard. Some ballsy peeks from Mighty Max and Laza. But only Laza will be left standing of those 2. Pulse back towards the ramp position, and he goes down. 13 points of health for the big green gun of the T side. It's blind. Bomb defuse being stuck. He can't see Kata. It'll clear. He gets the flick, but he's not ready for Archer. Close. Defuse kit will get picked up. He's going to have time for this one. London Lynx just about since the 5th.
That could have been fantastic timing for Laza to be able to capitalize on. I mean, judging the fading of the smoke or I suppose an opportune moment, if he was able to get back within cover, then suddenly Archer is not in a position to trade. He'd have to run all the way in towards the connector to chase down that kill and then retrieve the kit and get on the bomb, in which case I don't know that he would have had enough time. It is as close as it gets in that previous round, but now we see who will end off the half with a little bit more wind under their sails. Endpoint started the game off very hot. The London Lynx have been getting back into things. Potentially a 6th round on the table is Mighty Max is an SMG. Luz is already tagged down to low HP, and they're trying to make a fast A split somewhat successful.
Good Molotov in against Dylan's position. He forced to use the smoke instead of an actual time it perfectly. And get the blind fire at the right angle. Endpoint with a start. And a bomb plant on the A bomb site, mostly uncontested by London Lynx. The Velox will finally come in from the connector area and take down Mighty Max. So we are back to evens once again. Inside players, Laney gets down Archer, but Archer does take one on the way back out. ZNX with the second kill, dealing with Dexy onto the CT position. A man advantage for Endpoint. Both players coming in from very different angles, and Laney will actually sneak through, catch Velox in the back over a connector. How he read that, I don't know, but regardless, it's not going to be a positive round for the London Lynx side. 10-5 at the end of the half, Endpoint take the lead.
I think that's at least a decent recovery for the likes of London Lynx. I think
oh yeah, certainly.
We almost certainly got to a point where it almost looked like Endpoint were going to steamroll them on this in that half, but then suddenly they start getting a few more rounds under their belt. They have a round where they keep 4 alive, which is pretty pivotal in terms of having that buffer for the following rounds when Endpoint started to gun them down a little bit more. But 10-5, Endpoint won't be too dissatisfied either. They won't think that they've allowed London Lynx too much space in this game. This pistol will be pivotal, however. If Endpoint take this, likely up to sort of a 12 scoreline, London Lynx be able to bridge the gap up to 7.
Now we'll go straight into the A-bomb site, jumping down into the ZNX. No utility to support. They'll get that first pick, but they haven't checked Dark, and Laney and Luzza will crossfire as a result. Luzza with 2 headshots, and Laney still stays alive. Back over at the danger box. Casa trying to find Pulse, but it's just not happening. Archer tries to frag back, and he's the last man left alive. 1 versus 3. He gets the first, but no more than that. A fantastic defensive from Endpoint, shutting down London Lynx. And that just kind of proves the point I was talking about with the whole execution thing on the A-bomb side. There's a reason why so many teams go for executes. It's because the amount of vision you blind off on the CT side, like it just leads to such incredible levels of it just leads itself to such incredible levels of accuracy and potential in the A-bomb side. But London Lynx went in, they went aggressive, they didn't check all their angles, and a lot of the CTs, they had exploitable positions.
Yeah, it's very dangerous. So many crossfires could be held in a number of different positions. I think you're absolutely right that those executes, one of the strongest tools available to that T side. London Lynx are not going to have any utility available in this one, just fully saving, just trying to get a bomb plant if possible. They're going to make their way out of the apartments, but Luzza, that's crisp. He deals with so many of the players that waterfall out. Dylan got the bomb on his back, so he couldn't get that planted. No cash injection into the following round. It will still be a buy here for London Lynx, but not quite the same level that they could have been able to get if they'd maybe got that bomb planted.
Yeah, no. AK is coming through with limited utility sets for the T side. Mostly smokes and flashbangs. Actually, only smokes and flashbangs. No HEs, no incendiaries, nothing of that sort of nature. Endpoint go in with the FAMASs. It's not the best buy in terms of the weaponry, but the utility. And defuse kits will be on 4 players as well, so they've got everything that they need in their tool belt. Play it passively. Go for a little bit of mid control actually on the case of Luzza. Peeking out of that connected position and not seeing anybody from the T side so far. London Lynx taking this passively because they also know that when they went aggressive, it didn't quite go as well. They need to find an opening kill or some crucial bit of information that will turn the tide to their favor.
Yeah, I almost think that if London Lynx are going to mount a successful comeback, it has to come off some of these individual players, and it will come down to Dylan getting the opening pick. He's able to get away scot-free as well. No immediate trade, no sort of push back on the side of Endpoint. Pulse will get some information towards middle. But this is the initiative play we're talking about. In towards the A round, pushing on through, it's Laney. Dylan's gotten another kill. That's both of the A site players dealt with. An additional player has to rotate over, but Pulse has dropped the bomb into towards the connector. That makes things incredibly awkward for the Lynx, but they spam on through, they track him down. And Luzza's really all they have to deal with before they can get this bomb planted. The rotation won't be able to get there in time. Mighty Max, all that's left here for Endpoint. A 2 versus 1, an MP9 in hand.
You can still go for this. Almost held well from Luzza. He flashbanged in, both players spread apart. Bomb planted back of danger box, and Velox in the sniper's nest to be ready, and hearing those footsteps, he knows that there's one man coming in, but the shot gives away his position. Mighty Max now knows to smoke up this area and try and get to the bomb site. He hasn't got a secondary smoke to try and hold down the Stinger. He might Molotov, stick the whole thing, potentially. Dexy facing the spray, almost goes well for Mighty Max. Just Dexy going down after the fact. will hold onto a 6 for London Lynx, but Mighty Max, I mean, you play that one to a T right there. The spray, if it was just a little bit better, that probably would have been an Endpoint 13.
And capitalizing on a small mistake by Velox. I'm not quite sure why he shot in that position. He was in a very forward angle, could have potentially cut off any sort of progression towards the site. It may have been that Mighty Max would have smoked that anyway, but it gave him that certainty to do so. And you have to admire the commitment there from Dexy to go all the way through. A missed smoke by the London Lynx side. That could be troublesome because they will anticipate one of these angles to be fully covered off, but they do a lot of damage onto Mighty Max. The support isn't there to keep him alive. Eventually it's a 1-for-1 exchange. ZNX from range with the Deagle can't get anything done either. So ultimately not too much of a contest here on this B site, but only the one-man advantage here for London Lynx to get the bomb planted.
I still imagine Endpoint will go for the save right here. They've already got 1 M4, so Pulse just want to get out of dodge with that one, and yeah, he's back on the A-bomb site. 2 other players on short on the apartments. Nice that they can throw those pistols at this one and try to see if they can get the exit frags, but they have got head Kevlar, so you also got to take that into account with your Endpoint. It's a lot of money you're losing, $1,000. So best just to hold on to as much as you possibly can. Give yourself a little bit of a chance to the next round. It won't be a buy-up. It won't get any major rifles to support Pulse. But the Eco have a little bit extra firepower behind it. I think that's the main point right now for the Endpoint squad.
I think securing an exit is the primary goal here for London Lynx. They lose their player in Velox, which is not the worst thing in the world, but they would have certainly liked to have kept him alive so that they could build up that buffer that we quite often talk about here, where you win strings of rounds, you need to have something to show for it. If you win them and you're always down to this 1 or 2 players, you're always reinvesting, never able to build up a significant economy. And when that team does actually bridge the gap, get into a situation where they're almost tied, then suddenly you're left pretty high and dry. But 5 rounds will differentiate these teams for now. The weapons saved over will be the critical points of the Endpoint defense, and Pulse will get the first, traded back by Casa, but they just able to pick up the pieces. It's still back and forth, and it's a zebra crossing of kills in the early stages. Laney's got a second, and ZNX, oh, he pulls the trigger eventually.
No way.
And Laney gets 3 kills in the round. That's huge.
Laney was the anchor around that whole thing. He held connector, he still peeked back in and stopped them from getting to the bomb site, allowed ZNX to get into position and get their backs down together, and together, they both combined and they both shut down London Lynx. That was insane from Laney to stay alive for as long as he did. Isolating those 1v1s again against the London Lynx side. An Endpoint will claim unlucky 13th against London Lynx.
I just don't know what the
oh no.
No.
I
was going to ask what the approach is here for London Lynx, but that's more than certainly not a part of the recipe.
I think the worst part about it is the fact that they're already limited on utility as it stands.
Yeah.
So that was like one of only 2 smokes they have. They got a smoke and a flash to execute towards A or B. It's probably going to be likely B considering they're setting up for the split up here, unless the mid controls shut down. That's exactly what it is. ZNX and Luzza quickly spray it out. Molotovs in Velox going to get caught up on the well, good shot to take down ZNX. Mighty Max comes back with a quick trade though, so not allowed to take any site control. They know the last 2 players are up here as well. Rotations incoming as Luzza gets another headshot. Archer chimes back and takes him out of the equation, but 1 versus 3 now from here on out. Bomb on his back, but CT's, again, they've got the position locked out. He can possibly escape through the apartments and go back towards the A-bomb site, but Pulse is going to be ready to hear that. He'll get the information. He'll be ready for whatever Archer wants to go throw at them. So Endpoint, at this point, they've won the round. It's all a formality for Archer to save the weapon. 40 seconds to clutch it out. Again, it all doesn't matter.
And although we don't really count London Lynx as too much of a threat, you can see Endpoint going to give all the respect in the world. Archer's going to be able to get Laney as well. But like you were saying, it was all an inevitability for Endpoint. They were always going to be able to line up that trade, especially once they identified where that player was. Sticking together is crucial in that sort of a situation because you have the numbers advantage. All you need to do is trade. Endpoint double the scoreline here of London Lynx, and it's looking likely that they'll get themselves to 15 as it's just Glocks and a couple of Deagles they need to be concerned about.
Sitting out to a flashbang here, Archer. Smoke in. Flash over, bomb plant to try and get achieved here by the T-side, but they're not ready for Laney. He does get himself 1 pulse with 3 frags actually, and they do get the bomb plant out, so the eco will go well enough for the T-side. See if Dexter can get any more out of this. No, 4 kills for pulse for the anti-eco. Match point for Endpoint. London Lynx trying their best to get a bit of a money boost so that way they can get to overtime, but 8 rounds in a row, you mean, it's very, very far gone. It's very, very difficult for London Lynx to make this happen. Endpoint just so in the driver's seat. Yeah,
and only a couple of rounds accumulated on this T side for the London Lynx. It's Certainly a tall order, but they get the AWP out on Dexy. He was pivotal in terms of getting a couple of rounds on that CT side, respectively. So maybe you can have that same level of impact, get those opening duels in their favor. Mid-control will be on the cards here for London Lynx as they set themselves up. Smoke towards connector and window, respectively, but over the smoke, it's Pulse that gets the first kill. Luzza as well will chime in on towards Dylan, who had attempted to lurk out of A, but it's just all gone wrong. London Lynx left now just onto Dexy, who hasn't even had the chance to really work a pick. He tagged down Mighty Max earlier on, but that's all he's able to accomplish.
Yeah, not looking good. Seems like Dream agrees with me, shaking the heads. And Dexy might be shaking his head right now, just trying his best to find anything that he can, but yeah, it's not going to happen, I don't think, here, Yumi. 60 seconds, bomb on his back, AWP moving up to the mid position to try and find anything that he can, but you know, 1 versus 4, he's got to line up some serious collapse to even have a chance. They will get Laney, one good pick, isolate the 1 versus 1, they keep up his position though. The smoke's up towards that short area. Try and move a little bit closer inland. 45 seconds and running out of time for this. No short control, Endpoint. Just going to wait for him to peek up to them, and when he does, obviously, they will just take that pick relatively easily there, Yumi, so it's, again, all just a matter of time. How long does Dexy want to try and stay alive for? How much could he potentially give away? How much could he potentially get out of this round for bragging rights more than anything else? 11 HP on Mighty Max. Peeks around that corner, so Dexy might think it's clear. Chance available for the man if he's not careful. But 15 seconds till the end of the matchup here. I mean, actually, Mighty Max isn't checking this Dexy. Oh no, the quick scope not found. I thought maybe he might have been able to extend the round a little bit longer by getting that bomb plant, but not to be in this case. Mighty Max does sneak around at the end of it, and it will be 16-7.